Welcome back to another MCreator Lore video. So today what we're going to be doing is another flower. The next thing that I wanted to do was just to get some background information on how the plant actually looks and, you know, just general research. It's not always a bad idea to do that. And then finally what I started doing was putting together the actual texture. So I tried a few different things at the beginning. Wasn't sure exactly how about to go and do it. There's a few different shapes on the Google that showed different patterns and stuff. So I was just kind of experimenting with some of the different shapes. And I ended up going with just kind of like an L-shaped thing because it's more of a stem for a plant. And then it's like has like a base and stuff like that. It's more of like a bush, but it's designed in a way where it has flowers that kind of branch out from the bush itself. So we might even expand this into an actual bush later on. It's very similar to the first plant that we actually created, and that one had a very similar kind of bush feel to it. So I have some ideas for future work on that particular feature, but we'll definitely take care of that later on. But I wanted to actually get the pixels just right, and there's some highlights that I still needed to put in just to kind of give it that thing. Once you have the highlights in, it looks a lot better. And yeah, it slowly took shape, and then I could start moving on to the next major thing. So the next major thing was actually to make a larger image and then basically put together kind of like an animated texture. So I wanted it to kind of swing back and forth like if it was in the wind, and I just slowly started kind of tilting some of the pixels and stuff like that to kind of give that impression. And then I tried thinking how this was actually done, like how the wind would actually be affecting the pixels and stuff like that. So I tweaked some stuff to make it look like it was being blown in a certain direction, and then I was pretty happy with the result, so I exported it. I then needed to bring it into MCreator, so I was going to create an animated texture, just import our frames, and then I adjusted the speed. Now I have the video sped up a little bit, so because it did take me quite a bit of time to figure out where I wanted the frames, but generally about a 14 was about right for what I wanted it. The next thing that we needed to do was actually create the flower itself, so I started working on just putting together a new element for the animated texture as well as the Wild Indigo, and just updating the name and stuff like that, some of its properties, just to kind of see if there's anything like the color on the map. Obviously I didn't want it to be the same as the goldenrod or whatever one that I was using before, so I changed all that, and then I could finally make sure that it had a little bit of a higher spawn rate. I changed it a little bit higher, but not by too much. Alright, so the thing after that, what I worked on was basically just getting a single model. Spy Drone, one of our moderators on MC Toolkit, actually showed me this little trick. So you could actually click the icon for the thing when you're actually importing the model. You can also adjust it later on if you need to, but the little green icon will be basically allow you to make another instance of that same model, so you don't have to make multiple models. So that's basically what I did. I just created one for each flower rather than having a model for each flower. So it's going to use the same model, and we can just basically select it for each model. It will require us to update it, but that's not too bad. So the next thing that I just needed to do was basically update all the model names, and the names were actually all the same. So you have to kind of read the subtext in the thing to know which one that you're going to be selecting. It's the variable that you basically assigned it to. So next thing that I needed to do was put together the actual flower pot for the Wild Indigo and find the right actual model, and then update some of the properties for the actual model itself. So there was the name, the item that's right clicked on, and a few other properties. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that all the things, we'll get to the procedures in a second though. So the first thing that we needed to do was update our, basically our right click event for when we right click on the flower pot. It should give us back the item and update the model. So there was some changes with this particular one, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So the other properties, I wanted to basically put together this for the, I believe it's the right click, player right clicks on block. This is for when the flower pot is actually right clicked on, and we want to update our model to the custom flower pot. But then I'm like, okay, can I simplify it in a way that will basically make it easier or use less script? So in some cases I was able to do that, but I did run into a few issues. All right, and the last procedure that I actually had to work on was the, basically when the block is broken. So this is a global procedure again. We've done it for all the other flowers that we added, and I just wanted to introduce kind of like some extra variables so it was easier to control, because all these different spawn gems were basically the same, so it was just simpler to update some things by variables. This is the end result for when the player right clicks on the empty flower pot. I changed a few things here. This is the new procedure for when the block is broken, so some variables were updated here as well. And lastly, I moved the procedure for the right click on the actual flower pot custom one to a global procedure and updated it. So someone pointed out in the comments that there was no recipes for the flowers yet, so I decided to add the recipes for different dyes and stuff like that for the custom flowers, just so it was properly set up. However, I did want to make sure that there was tags so other mods could basically tap into the mod itself and use the tags for the recipes. So I basically went through all the different flowers and added a item tag so that could be done in the recipes itself. And once I got to the recipes, I could just basically simply select the tag. So if you're wondering how you select a tag under the recipe, you could basically click on the use tag item button and then basically fill out your tag with your namespace, and then finally your tag that you gave it. If you have any categories, you can put that in after your namespace as well, and then select the type of dye that you wanted or whatever item that you want to export. I just put it under the dye namespace for the group name, and it should be good. Alright, so we got the flowers in, and they actually look really good in the biome itself. I like the animation. I think what we'll do in the future, though, is add some moving grass just to kind of make it feel more realistic. But at the moment, the grass that we have in will do just fine. But yeah, we have some flower pots. We have some whole bunch of other stuff, so worked out pretty good. I think we can move on to some different things next episode, like soil, or at least the stone and the sand blocks that generate. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.